I was the crazy ex who walked away with nothing, until his daughter showed up at my door, desperate. Mom's gone. Dad's in jail. I have no one else. I took one look at her and smiled. Then maybe now you understand why I left. I met Mark in the summer of 1995 in Charleston, South Carolina. I was 22, fresh out of nursing school, and working at the local hospital. Mark was 28, a charismatic real estate agent with a smile that could light up a room. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, and from the moment we started talking, there was an undeniable connection. Our courtship was swift. Within a year, we were married in a small ceremony on Folly Beach. Mark had a daughter from a previous relationship, Lily, who was 5 at the time. Her mother had passed away in a car accident when Lily was just a toddler. I stepped into the role of stepmother with open arms, eager to build a family. For the first few years, life was idyllic. We bought a cozy house in Mount Pleasant, and I continued my nursing career while Mark's real estate business flourished. Lily and I grew close. She would often call me Mom, and I cherished our bond. As time went on, subtle changes began to emerge. Mark became increasingly controlling. He would question my whereabouts, criticize my appearance, and belittle my accomplishments. At first, I attributed it to stress from work, but the emotional abuse escalated. He started isolating me from friends and family, insisting that he was all I needed. I found myself walking on eggshells, constantly trying to appease him to avoid his wrath. The man I had fallen in love with was disappearing before my eyes. Despite the turmoil, I stayed. I told myself that marriage was about commitment and that I had to make it work. I also worried about Lily. I didn't want to abandon her. She was now a teenager, and I felt responsible for her well-being. The turning point came when I discovered that Mark had been unfaithful. I found explicit messages on his phone from multiple women. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. Instead, he blamed me, saying I had driven him to it by being cold and ungrateful. That night, he became physically violent for the first time. He slapped me across the face, and I knew then that I had to leave. I packed a bag and fled to a friend's house, filing for divorce the next day. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Mark painted me as unstable, accusing me of being a neglectful stepmother and a gold digger. Despite the emotional and physical abuse I endured, the court sided with him. I walked away with nothing. No alimony, no property, and, most heartbreakingly, no contact with Lily. I was labeled the crazy ex, and Mark ensured that my reputation was tarnished. Friends turned their backs on me, and I was left to rebuild my life from scratch. I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, seeking a fresh start. I found work at a local clinic and rented a small apartment. The transition was challenging, but I slowly began to heal. I attended therapy, joined support groups, and focused on self-care. Years passed, and I found peace in my solitude. I never remarried, choosing instead to invest in friendships and personal growth. I often thought of Lily, wondering how she was and hoping she was safe. It was a rainy afternoon in April when I heard a knock at my door. I opened it to find a young woman, drenched and shivering. It took me a moment, but then I recognized her. Lily. Mom's gone. Dad's in jail. I have no one else, she said, her voice trembling. I invited her in, offering her a towel and a warm drink. As she sat on my couch, I took a good look at her. She was no longer the teenager I remembered, but a young woman carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. Then maybe now you understand why I left, I said gently. Over the next few days, Lily shared her story. After I left, Mark's behavior worsened. He became more controlling and abusive, both emotionally and physically. Lily bore the brunt of his anger, often shielding herself and her younger half-siblings from his outbursts. Her mother, Mark's second wife, had passed away from a drug overdose, a coping mechanism she had turned to in the face of Mark's abuse. With Mark now incarcerated for fraud and domestic violence, Lily was left to care for her 2 younger siblings, aged 6 and 8. She had driven from Charleston to Asheville, hoping to find me and seek help. I couldn't turn her away. I welcomed Lily and her siblings into my home, and together, we began to rebuild. I helped enroll the children in school, found a counselor for Lily, and provided a stable environment for them all. The journey wasn't easy. The children had experienced trauma, and Lily struggled with guilt and grief. But with time, therapy, and love, we began to heal as a family. I legally adopted the younger children, and Lily, now in her 20s, pursued a degree in social work, determined to help others who had faced similar hardships. Looking back, I realized that leaving Mark was the hardest yet most necessary decision I ever made. Though I lost everything at the time, I gained something far more valuable, a second chance at family and the opportunity to break the cycle of abuse. Lily once told me, "I used to think you abandoned us, but now I see you were the only one brave enough to escape." Her words affirmed that sometimes, walking away isn't a sign of weakness but an act of courage. Things started off almost peaceful. For the first few weeks, having Lily and the kids in my home felt strange, but good. There was laughter again. The kind that comes from watching a 6-year-old chase bubbles or hearing the goofy way an 8-year-old mispronounces spaghetti. It felt like I was breathing fresh air for the first time in years. But then the past crept in. Lily had nightmares. Loud, terrifying ones. I'd find her curled in a ball on the couch, whispering apologies in her sleep. Some nights, she'd bolt upright, screaming for her mom. Or for me. or sometimes for no one. She was drowning in memories that she hadn't even unpacked yet. One morning, I found her sitting at the kitchen table, staring at nothing, her coffee untouched. "He used to lock me in the bathroom," she said, voice flat. "Said it was better than hitting me. Said I should thank him." I didn't know what to say. How do you fix something so broken? And then came the letter. It was from Mark. From prison. Lily found it first. She stood in the hallway holding it like it was radioactive. Her hands shook. "He found us," she said. I took it, opened it. It was 5 pages of rambling nonsense. Regret. Blame. Claims that I brainwashed his daughter. That I'd poisoned her against him. And a warning. He was getting out. Sooner than expected. A loophole. A technicality. I called the prison. They confirmed it. Mark was being released in less than 2 months. That's when things really started to fall apart. Lily stopped going to her classes. The kids started acting out, wetting the bed, refusing to eat, screaming over small things. My own hands started shaking at random moments. I wasn't sleeping. I'd pace the living room at night, every creak in the floor making my heart race. He was coming. We didn't know when, but he was coming. Then came the second letter. This one was addressed to me. It was just one line. "You took what was mine. I'm taking it back." I went to the police. They shrugged. "He hasn't done anything yet," they said. "We can't act on a letter." So I bought cameras, changed the locks, set up an alarm system. But fear doesn't care about security. One night, I came home from a grocery run and found the back door wide open. Nothing taken. No one there. But the feeling in the air? Heavy. Like a warning. Lily was terrified. I found her clutching a baseball bat in the hallway, kids crying in the background. "He's playing with us," she whispered. I believed her. I started documenting everything. Every call, every knock, every strange car parked outside. And still, nothing we could prove. Nothing they could charge him for. And then Lily did something I didn't expect. She left me a note. "I need to protect the kids. I can't risk you getting hurt because of me. I'll come back when it's safe." No goodbye, just gone. She took them and vanished into the night like a ghost. That morning, the silence in the house was louder than any scream. And now, I'm alone again, watching shadows move outside my window, listening for footsteps, waiting for the past to knock again. And I don't know what I'll do when it does. A week passed since Lily disappeared. No call, no message, nothing. I filed a missing person report, but the officer just looked at me like I was wasting his time. "She's an adult," he said. Maybe she just needed space. I didn't believe that for a second. I called every shelter in North Carolina, then Georgia. I checked hospitals. Nothing. Then, on the 9th night, I got a call from an unknown number around 2 a.m. A child's voice whispered on the other end. "Grandma, help us." I froze. "Jamie?" I asked. It was Lily's youngest. "Where are you?" The line went dead. I lost it. I paced the kitchen, heart hammering so hard I could hear it. I tried calling back, no answer. I knew something was wrong. By morning, I was driving through Charleston again, retracing old places Lily might have gone. I stopped at a gas station on the outskirts of town and showed the clerk a photo of Lily and the kids. She nodded slowly. "Yeah," she said. "They were here? About 2 days ago." She looked scared. Wouldn't even let the kids out the car. "Did she say where she was going?" She asked about campgrounds. "Somewhere quiet." That's when it hit me. Mark's family owned a plot of land deep in the woods outside Somerville. They used it for hunting during the season. No one had mentioned it in years. It wasn't listed. Just acres of forest and one rusted trailer in the middle. I drove straight there. And I found the car. Lily's old sedan, half hidden under pine branches. Windows fogged. Back tire flat. The forest was dead quiet. I called her name. No answer. I opened the trailer door and instantly gagged. The smell hit first. Rot. Mildew. Something worse. The trailer was empty. Trash on the floor. Mold on the ceiling. But in the back bedroom, I found drawings. Childlike scribbles. A stick figure labeled Dad with red crayon all over it. Another one of a woman crying. Then one of a cage. That's when I heard it. A snap outside. I turned, and there he was. Mark. Not a ghost. Not a threat on paper. But real. Thinner than I remembered. Paler. Eyes darker than before. "I knew you'd come," he said, grinning. I stepped back, trying to keep my voice steady. "Where are they?" He shrugged. "Gone. You drove her away just like you did before. She's crazy, you know. Like you." He took a step toward me. I should have finished what I started years ago. I ran. Through the trees. Branches clawed at my face, but I didn't stop. I heard him behind me. Closer. Fast. I made it back to the road and flagged down a car. Thank God someone stopped. The police finally listened after that. They found the trailer, the car, the drawings. But no Lily. No kids. Just Mark. Gone again. Vanished. They searched the woods for days. Nothing. Until yesterday. I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside, one of Jamie's stuffed animals. Burned at the edges. And a note. Still watching. I don't sleep anymore. I just sit at the window, watching the trees, waiting for the next move. Because the game isn't over. After the package came, something in me cracked wide open. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was angry. Furious. Tired of being hunted. Tired of waiting. I called a friend from Charleston PD, someone who still owed me a favor. I told him everything, and for the first time, someone believed me without question. A week later, I got a call. They had Lily. She was at a hospital in Florence, South Carolina, barely conscious, malnourished, bruised, but alive. The kids were with her, traumatized but unharmed. They had been hiding in an old storm shelter buried behind the trailer site. She'd gone back for food when Mark ambushed her, beat her, locked her up, took the kids elsewhere. But she escaped. Somehow. Crawled through a broken panel and ran barefoot through the woods for miles until a trucker picked her up. When I got to the hospital, she looked like a ghost of herself. Pale, thin, eyes hollow. But the moment she saw me, she broke down. I thought I could protect them, she whispered. I thought leaving would keep you safe. I held her. And I cried, too. Because I understood. Because I'd made the same mistake once, thinking love alone could fix what trauma broke. We were given protective custody. Police tracked Mark's burner phones and set a trap. It worked. They caught him 2 weeks later at a rundown motel in Savannah. Armed. Paranoid. Mumbling about how we'd ruined his legacy. At the trial, everything came out. The abuse. The threats. The forged documents. Even recordings Lily had secretly kept on a phone hidden in her shoe. And then, the real twist hit. A woman stood up in the courtroom. She was about my age. Blonde. Nervous. I have a son, she said, voice shaking. Mark's son. He said he never had other kids. He said his wife was dead. But he was still married. Gasps. Murmurs. Reporters scribbling. Mark tried to shout but was silenced by the judge. It turned out Mark had a third family. Another life. Another lie. He had been running scams for years, real estate fraud, fake businesses, stolen identities. The man who once sold dreams on beachfront properties was now a symbol of betrayal. Lily sat beside me, face blank, hands clenched. He was a monster, she said later. And I still wanted him to love me. That was the hardest truth. After the sentencing, 25 years, no parole, we walked out of the courthouse together. Lily with her arms around the kids. Me walking behind them. The sun was too bright. Too real. Like we had stepped out of a movie and didn't know how to live in real time again. Back in Asheville, things were quiet. There were more therapy sessions. More tears. Flashbacks. Bad dreams. One night, Lily woke up screaming and ran to the kids' room to make sure they were still there. She looked at me, eyes wide. What if I turn into him? You won't, I told her. Because you already broke the cycle. Weeks turned to months. The kids started drawing again. Smiling again. Lily started working at a shelter, helping women escape what she once lived through. As for me, I go for walks. I write. I cook too much food and sometimes still jump at the sound of the doorbell. But I'm not the woman I was. I'm not the broken ex-wife. Or the crazy one. I'm someone who survived. Who rebuilt. Who forgave herself. One afternoon, Lily asked if she could call me mom again. Not like mom. Not stepmom. Just mom. I cried for hours. The world didn't go back to normal. It never does after something like that. But we found something better than normal. We found truth. And the truth, as ugly as it was, finally set us free. I stood outside one evening, watching the kids ride bikes in the driveway, Lily laughing from the porch. The sky was streaked with pink and gold, the kind of sunset that felt like a promise. And I realized I wasn't waiting anymore. Not for an apology. Not for revenge. Not for closure. I had it. Not because of what Mark lost, but because of what we found. Each other. And for the first time in decades, I wasn't afraid to hope.